digital underground, always down with the move. Come on. So we tune in to First Things First with the Queen of Black Talk Radio, Dominique DiPrima. Go, sis. Go, sis.
First things first.
KBLA Talk 1580. Good morning, good morning, good morning, and God bless. I'm Dominique DiPrima. The show is called First Things First, and my very first thing every day is giving thanks to God, giving thanks, giving praises, and asking for blessings from the Most High, asking for the blessings of the ancestors and the elders, and let's go, okay? Let's do this. We got a lot to talk about, a lot to do. So on a Tuesday, I call it Talking Point Tuesday because we like to break down and debunk the things we tell ourselves that sometimes do not serve us or even our agenda. On Talking Point Tuesday, our first hour is Left Coast, what's going on around here in the Pacific Ocean side of town. Hour 2, we go national, international, and beyond. And in the third hour, we do a deep dive. Today, we will be celebrating Women's History Month. Women's History Month is something we could celebrate every month as well. But we'll be talking with the author of Black Panther Woman, The Political and Spiritual Journey of Erica Huggins, and looking forward to that conversation. As usual, you're invited in every hour, 800-920-1580, 800-920-1580. I'll be joined hour 2 by my friend and colleague, Dr. Melina Abdullah. She is the National Director of Black Lives Matter Grassroots and the host of This Is Not a Drill Saturday mornings around here. She's also a political scientist. I'm really looking forward to getting her take on some of the developments that we've seen since, about January 20th. And of course, I always love talking to you. You know that. Y'all seem to enjoy talking to each other. That happens in the YouTube convo, which you go to youtube.com and then type in KBLA 1580 and boom, you'll see, you click on the live, you'll see me streaming on YouTube and you will see a conversation that happens every day. Very informative. The people that are part of what we call the KBLA delegation, our extended family, are really brilliant. And so I love tapping in and seeing what y'all are talking about there as well. Yesterday, I had the opportunity to drive around Altadena and walk around Altadena, something I had not done. I had been out in support of charitable ventures, of volunteering. We, of course, broadcast out there at the Pasadena Church, which has been an incredible hub. It's called the Pasadena Church, which has been an incredible hub of charitable giving, of activism, of information. They've had a series of town halls with various attorneys who have volunteered to give folks an overview of what their options are and what their rights are. And also, of course, some of them are signing people up to be part of a couple of class action lawsuits against, or potentially class action lawsuits against the power company, Edison. But that is not the same, and that is not the same as walking around where folks' houses are. Of course, you heard me say that I was interviewing one woman who had lost everything. In fact, her family had lost several homes, and when I saw the pictures on her phone, it just hit different because I looked at it and it felt like I was looking at my phone in my house, and it's just a completely different experience than watching it on the news, which puts you at a distance, even though those pictures were quite devastating. And I think the mainstream media did a decent job of bringing us the scope, the sheer size of the destruction. Yesterday, I went with a friend who had lost their home, their family home, where they lived with their wife and kids. And it's a whole different experience once again to go on the ground and walk around, because there are so many devastating scenes that you might not see on TV, but also because the scary and seemingly illogical way that the fire impacted neighborhoods, where literally right across the street from my friend's house, their neighbor's house is untouched. Their house is nothing left but a chimney. And as we walked around, we saw signs on many of the homes from the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers where they tell you the hazard part of this cleanup is done. We've already taken out, car batteries and other items that may be hazardous. But that's also baffling, because you look at this home and it appears to be a pile of rubble. And for me, I'm not at all an expert. I'm not a construction person. I've never done anything of the kind. But I look there and I see a pile of rubble, and I'm thinking to myself, how do you know? Do they have some kind of scanners or something? How do you know that you got all the toxins out of this? And of course, there's still, going to be asbestos and lead and stuff like that from things that burned. But as far as hazardous items, they have signs that say completed. And you see cars upside down. Apparently, those are the electric cars, because they have those lithium batteries, which are highly hazardous, potentially explosive and whatnot. So that means if they're turned upside down, that means the battery has been removed. The car is now considered to be not dangerous anymore. And by car, I mean a sort of rusted shell of a metal structure. I mean, it's not what you're thinking when you think car. Really devastating. And I am looking forward to talking with Alan Shea on Thursday morning, who, of course, is the owner of a community hub called the Red Hen that folks used to gather at there in Altadena. His family's been in that community since 1967, and that business was burned to the ground. Looking down a corridor with what was a row of mostly black businesses going down for blocks, again, those are burnt. And it's giving Black Wall Street, and obviously it wasn't an angry mob of racist white people that burnt it to the ground, but I do think that the trauma of black communities having been razed to dust time and time and time again in this country is definitely rearing its head, even though we know logically that's not what happened. But we also know, and I have another friend who said, well, fires know no color lines. They don't discriminate. They burn where they burn, and we can't control that. But I think where the discriminatory part comes in is the response to the fire, right? The president visits Palisades, but not Altadena. The news covers, and I think they've caught up a little bit. To be clear, to be fair, I think they're doing a better job as time goes on because of community outcry. It reminds me of Trayvon or Jenna 6 or other stories like that I've covered over the years, where it is the community outcry that acts as the news desk and forces the mainstream media to come and cover what they otherwise might not. That's where the disparity comes in. The response. How will FEMA respond? How will the insurance companies respond? What will the giving look like? And all of that. So again, I'm proud of the community and the way they've stepped up. But walking through those blocks, it gives you a different understanding, but also a kind of a warning. How do we rebuild more fireproof, fire retardant? Is that possible? What burden does that place on the homeowners in terms of the cost, the tariffs that Trump put into effect are now in place against Mexico and Canada. Those are places, China, those are places where we get building materials, where we get supplies. How is that going to be playing out in the rebuilding? But the homeowner I talked to was saying, well, we have no choice but to rebuild, because the money we will get from the insurance company for the loss of our home will not be enough to buy anywhere else unless we went to another state. Maybe Stockton, deep in Central California. So that raises other questions. As a homeowner, you're between a rock and a hard place, especially if you're elderly, an older adult, right? So this is going to take 3 to 10 years to rebuild your home. If you're 90, is it worth it? And if you're underinsured, will you be able to rebuild anything close to what you had, especially with the costs going up? I'm going to continue to talk about this because I feel like as KBLA Talk 1580, it's our responsibility and also our privilege, because we have the freedom, being a Black-owned media outlet, we have the freedom to continue to talk about this even when other stories have flared into the headlines. And we will continue to do so. Of course, James Farr, who's a contributor on this show, now has his own show on Saturdays after Black Lives Matter. This is not a drill. So he'll be keeping it going as well. But there's a lot to consider and a lot still to be done. And as I looked at those homes, I understood even more fully why folks are saying really what they need is money. Go to the verified Black-owned GoFundMes or give gift cards. Because where are folks putting stuff? How are they hauling it? If they're in temporary housing or staying with relatives, can they take that bed, couch, or clothing that you have to offer? So if you're able, that's what folks need. That's what they really need. And this process is a long, long, long way from being finished. In fact, those houses that had the little green check mark that says completed by the Army Corps of Engineers now are supposed to have the rubble removed by the county. And they have to take, I think it's 6 inches of dirt to try to make sure all of the toxic substances are out. That hasn't begun yet. And these processes are happening parallel in Palisades and in Altadena. I didn't visit Palisades. I guess I'm the opposite of Trump. I just went to where my folks are. If you want to weigh in on this or anything else that's on your mind this morning, 800-920-1580. I do, when we come forward, I want to talk about the mayor of L.A. And these hits that are coming in from every direction, the misinformation, the disinformation, and the very mysterious way that other elected officials in the region seem to be spared from this constant disparagement and attack. Wonder why that is. 800-920-1580. I'm Dominique DiPrima for KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
Attention. If you owe money to the IRS, this is an urgent message. The IRS is cracking down by sending out collection letters, garnishing paychecks, seizing bank accounts, and putting liens on homes and businesses. They call it enforced compliance. And you better watch out, because penalties and interest on unpaid taxes compound daily, making it even harder to get out of debt. Don't let tax debt destroy your life. You need to call Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax resolution firm. They're experts in taxpayer assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. A-plus rated by the Better Business Bureau, Optima's resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. Let them fight on your behalf, helping to put your tax problems to rest. Call now for a free consultation.
Call 800-919-9077. 800-919-9077. 800-919-9077.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
We've got a lot to talk about.
Hey there, it's Karen.
And I'm Ernest. We're the co-hosts of Food for Thought with Karen and Ernest here on KBLA Talk 1580. Make sure you check us out Saturdays at 8 p.m.
And our rebroadcast happens on Sundays at 7 p.m. We'll be talking about the art of dining. We'll be giving food tips, talking to sommeliers, chefs, concierges, all the food influencers, everything food, everything dining. And sometimes with some of our friends just hanging out and talking food.
And when you listen to our show, we have a segment called Hot Dishes. Sometimes unpopular opinions, but we said what we said and we meant what we meant.
Also, we do food reviews with who's hot and who's not.
Yeah, you make sure you guys check out Food for Thought with Karen and Ernest here on KBLA. We've got a lot to talk about.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
Your ancestors' favorite radio station, and your favorite morning show host. Let's get back to Dominique DiPrima right now.
Right now, LA Times today is back at it, saying that the mayor of Los Angeles was warned by emergency services about the wind. Well, I think we were all warned about the wind. But more explicitly, her aides were, is what they're saying. They're not necessarily saying. But this would be contradictory to the mayor saying that the fire chief didn't warn her. But not I guess not necessarily, because emergency services said they had sent out an email warning about high confidence and damaging winds and elevated fire conditions before she went to Ghana. And apparently the team, according to this LA Times article, didn't tell her about that email, which was talking about a meeting to prepare for these high winds. I think it's interesting, though. I mean, I've been tracking these articles about the mayor, and they're on every platform. But the LA Times, of course, is going hard. And I think it's really important to keep in mind right now that the LA Times has undergone a transformation and transition where they refuse to endorse Kamala Harris, a tradition that they have had for decades, where the South African-born billionaire who owns that paper has said he's going to have something called a bias-o-meter to give his interpretation of what's biased and what's not. Keeping in mind that the LA Times, since I moved to Los Angeles in the 1990s, in my observation, has gone much harder on Black and Latino politicians than others. It's just what they do. But it's interesting to me. We've had these two devastating fires. There were other fires, but the two that were the most damaging were Altadena, the Eaton Canyon fire, and Palisades. Palisades is in Mayor Bass's region. It is part of her responsibility. Malibu is not, and neither is Altadena, although she said on this show that she has been working to help Altadena, working particularly when black celebs who live in her jurisdiction, which is the city of Los Angeles, come and want to help, in directing them to Eden because they want to impact black homeowners who've lost everything. And yet she's blamed for everything from Malibu to Hawaii. And it's interesting that others, like, for example, who is over Altadena, Pasadena? Catherine Barger, Supervisor Barger, our Republican on the LA County Board of Supervisors. Crickets. I haven't heard Trump or Elon Musk going out and blasting her. I haven't seen major think pieces and Politico and other national publications questioning why black residents of Altadena say they did not get the same warnings as other residents, why more wasn't done to prepare ahead of time for those fires. Haven't seen it. They appear to have a police chief, fire chief who doesn't go in the media and throw their boss under the bus. So that might be part of it. But it certainly feels like this is being utilized as a political opportunity. There is a recall effort underway. And I know that we'll be hearing more about it. But keep in mind the way that a recall works. If, and we're talking about a recall, not like the ones against the governor or others who, were scrounging for money. We're talking about a recall whose supporters include the richest man in the world. So you're talking about people with very deep pockets who can quickly hire people to rapidly gather signatures. And the way that a recall in California works, if you vote to recall a person, you do not then get to have an election, a special election to decide who's going to replace them. They're immediately gone, and whoever had the money, wherewithal, heads up, which is usually going to be someone involved in said recall, will immediately become your mayor. If they're on the ballot, the question will say, should this person be recalled? And should this person be the new person, or should this person be the new person? So we are at a crossroads, my friends. And I know it is very tempting, as Jazz Mechanic said yesterday, to obsess on what is going on in Washington. But this is a moment to pay attention to where you live if you're in Los Angeles. Many of us have complained about the throwing of black women under the bus, the way we are held to superhero standards that others are not meant to adhere to, how easy it is to disparage us in the press, to undermine our character and our work, and the way these attacks stick to us, the way folks pile on like a lynch mob in the media. That is something that seems to be extra perilous for black women. And we've seen it time and time and time again. And we're seeing it right now with Karen Bass. So at this point in time, although I subscribe to the LA Times every day, I'm asking myself, should I cancel this? I won't, because it's my job to read them and others. But it is interesting the way they have pivoted, because I believe this publication has always had tougher scrutiny for black and Latino politicians than others. I've seen it over the years. But now it appears to have ratcheted up a notch. And it's not at all surprising when you see the positions that the billionaire head owner of this station, of this particular publication, has taken. And it shifts the entire political landscape. If you have the paper of record, yeah, we have other papers, but the LA Times in this region is the paper of record. If you have the paper of record committed to attacking and undermining your mayor, and part of that billionaire boys club who all decided at once they were not going to endorse Kamala Harris, who, just like the Washington Post recently announced, from now on, all their editorials will reflect their values. There will not be opposing viewpoints. They're leaving that to social media. You must understand that now, as a candidate or as a sitting mayor, you're up against not just the facts, not just doing your job and the reality of trying to lead a region that's still reeling from COVID out of these devastating fires. You're also tasked with fighting against the mainstream media. It's a lot, people. It's time to mobilize. It's time to mobilize. It's time to fight back. If you, we got news, traffic, and sports, and then more on KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
I'm Bree Wood with 4 Things You Should Know with BIN News. A group of black lawmakers criticized Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin for commuting the 3-year sentence of former police officer Wesley Shiflett, who was convicted of reckless handling of a firearm in the 2023 death of an unarmed shoplifter. The Virginia Legislative Black Caucus called the action reckless and a misuse of power. A Florida woman is recovering after she was bitten by an alligator. The Florida Fish and Wildlife Commission says it happened Monday in a canal in Polk County. New York City Mayor Eric Adams criticized former Governor Andrew Cuomo, who announced his mayoral run by highlighting February's crime decline and mocking Cuomo's crisis claims. Adams, who is black, said he'll address Cuomo's record on the campaign trail. And Hulu blamed technical issues for the subscribers missing the end of Sunday's Academy Awards, including the Best Actress and Best Picture announcements. Upset viewers shared screenshots of a message saying the live event had ended. Get BIN News on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
The CONCACAF Nations League Finals arrive at SoFi Stadium March 20th through the 23rd. USA versus Panama, followed by Canada versus Mexico. Get your tickets now on Ticketmaster. For more information, visit CONCACAFNationsLeague.com/tickets.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The USC women's basketball team was given its highest ranking in 39 years. USC moved up to number 2 in this week's Associated Press Top 25 poll. The last time USC was ranked second in the country was on January 5th, 1986. USC, led by Compton All-American Juju Watkins, is 26-2. The rest of the top 5, Texas at number 1, followed by number 3, UConn, number 4, UCLA, and South Carolina. UCLA finished the regular season 27-2. Both losses were to USC. USC and UCLA have byes in the first 2 rounds of the Big Ten tournament, which begins Wednesday in Indianapolis. USC is the number 1 seed in the tournament. UCLA is number 2. The Trojans and Bruins play their first games on Friday. The Lakers are going for their 7th straight win tonight. They play New Orleans at Crypto.com. The Lakers haven't had a 7-game winning streak since February 12, 2021. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
We asked seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up. Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone. And should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month.
If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your Senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting truly great candidates for your roles? It seems impossible to find them, but they have to be out there somewhere, right? Well, they're not hard to find when you know where to go, and that place is ZipRecruiter. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. And because these people are actively looking for jobs just like yours, it's easy to find the right person right away. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. But if you're not using ZipRecruiter, you're missing out. So see what it's like when the impossible is easy. When you go to ZipRecruiter.com/free right now to try ZipRecruiter for free. Once again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free. Never miss out on great candidates with ZipRecruiter.
There's new reaction following the Trump administration's sweeping efforts to cut the federal workforce.
Fired but not forgotten. The Testimony Project. Bearing witness, breaking silence, building community. KBLA Talk 1580 is committed to amplifying the voices of Black federal workers impacted by the mass firings. Rooted in the Black tradition of testimony, this initiative ensures that those who served us are not erased from history. Through firsthand accounts, investigative storytelling, and community-driven dialogue, we intend to expose injustice, preserve truth, and demand accountability. If you or someone you know has been forced out of federal employment due to the mass firings, please contact us at info@smileyaudiomedia.com or via the open mic feature on the KBLA 1580 app. We want to hear from you and share your story. KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
Thanks for waking up with Dominique DiPrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
Yes, I do. Thank you. I'm really glad you're here, actually. I will add that along with my conversation, starting off the show, talking about Mayor Bass and the attacks against her, I will add that Kristen Crowley, the fire chief who was fired by Bass, has asked for her job back. She's got a couple Republicans on the city council supporting her. And we'll see who else, because that vote is taking place today about whether she's asked for her job back. Monica Rodriguez, the councilwoman, has supported her and continuously been emboldened to slam the mayor. And we'll see, because it's up for a vote today in city council. I imagine the city council will be packed. The meeting today will be packed as folks want to weigh in on this. I think look, there was no warning by the fire chief to the mayor. That's been established. The fire chief did not warn the mayor, did not say, which is a fire chief's job. That's why you have a fire chief, a police chief, and not just a solo mayor. They're supposed to tell you. That is traditionally what happens. The mayor has said she did not do that. She claims she's proud of her work, but she does not say, I did warn the mayor. She just says she's proud of her work. Well, I'm glad you're proud of her work, but if you don't do your job, guess what happens? You get fired. Even in showbiz, that's what happens. And most of the time, people's lives are not on the line when it comes to our jobs. On top of that, you are insubordinate, going on CNN and other outlets, throwing the mayor under the bus. I'm sorry, you're fired the minute you do that if I'm the mayor. Bye. Peace out. Clearly you don't want your job, or you would not be sowing division and undermining confidence in my leadership in the middle of a crisis. The mayor being patient, and I've known her for many years because I sat on the board of Community Coalition when she was still the executive director of that organization. She is not the type. In fact, she's the first person that ever talked to me about this idea that we should do the work first and then have the press conference. I mean, that seems obvious, but most politicians have the press conference first. Most corporations have the press conference first, and then they may or may not do the work. She doesn't organize by press conference. So she did not, she's patient. She didn't fire that person. And now, this is all coming before the city council today. I don't think that Crowley has the votes, but you never know. Things are so sideways in this season of politics and people. I'm going to say people because I don't know why I'm so measured today. Maybe because I got some sleep. I'm not sure. It probably won't last. Let's go to Fred calling us from the Crenshaw district. Good morning, Fred.
Yeah, good morning, Sister Dominique. Let me ask you, do you think it was fair for Mayor Bass to fire Fire Chief Crowley?
Yep, I think she should have done it. Well, I don't want to be an armchair mayor. I think it was well past overdue. Fred, are you employed? Do you still work?
Oh, no, I'm retired.
You're retired.
I worked
Okay.
25 years with the county.
Okay, so you worked for the county, which is a highly political kind of structure. Imagine if you went on TV and started talking smack about your boss. Do you think you would keep your job?
No, well, I'd see I'll be out the door. You don't think she's going to be able to get 10 of city council members to back her up today, do you?
I do not, but, you know, the treachery in politics at this moment and the, shall we say, ethnic divisions are real. So it's hard to say. It doesn't appear so. I don't think so. I can't imagine 10 council members siding with somebody who didn't even bother to call the mayor, and yet she claims that she's proud of her work. You're proud of your work, but you didn't do the basic job of informing the chief executive that there was imminent danger to the city. And this memo this email that they're talking about was A, not sent to the mayor, B, it was sent to her staffers, but it says, you know, wind and fire danger, which all of us heard, high wind event. It didn't say we are concerned about an imminent threat. And if the fire chief is so proud of her work, I don't know how you're going to be proud of your work when you made an erroneous decision not to place fire trucks, fire engines in the Palisades or anywhere near there when that is one of the highest fire danger regions in your jurisdiction and has been forever.
Okay, I see where you're going with this. You don't plan to look at Cuckoo's Man's joint session tonight, do you?
Oh, now he's Cuckoo Man. You know, I may try to force myself because I feel like it's my job, but this is one of the reasons I really was praying and organizing for him not to get reelected. I don't want to listen to him talk at all, ever.
I think we would have been a whole lot better if Kamala Harris had made it. One thing that made me mad about the LA Times, I used to buy it. There were 7 times the guy never showed up, and I'm in number 8, and he was still in the paper in number 7. So I sent a letter out. They had to pay me the refund of $42. And then the LA Times, I was really shocked to find out they did not want to endorse Kamala Harris, the heck with Trump, and so they lost my business. I did not realize that LA Times is a white racist paper. Were you aware of that?
That's interesting. You characterize. I've been aware that they disproportionately attack black politicians. I've been aware of that since the 90s, and that they do the same with Latino politicians. I have been aware of the fact that they don't do a good job at times covering the black community. They designate people experts who are not experts. They call people civil rights leaders who are not civil rights leaders, and they go to the same people over and over again just because they happen to be in their Rolodex, rather than finding out who's actually leading an organization that has members, who's actually making a difference. I have seen some good work in the LA Times over the years, some very good work. But I've also seen some real serious problems. There has been times when I've complained about an article, and one time the writer got back to me, and he was living in New York and didn't even know where Market Street was in Inglewood, but was reporting on it.
That's sad.
I found
and
it
one last thing,
wild. Yeah.
I know you have a lot of callers. The governor's race is heating up for 2026. I would really love to see Kamala Harris make a shot at that. I called the recorder's office. The candidates have until December 1st to put in their candidacy. I would love to see her as California's first black female governor. I'll even work on her campaign.
It wouldn't just be the first one in California; it'd be the first one in the nation.
Well, yeah,
There's never ever been a black female governor in the history of this country. We'll see. I mean, it is a tight race. There's a lot of great candidates in it, and that is one of the things that we do have in California. We have talent when it comes to leadership. It's just tough times. It's a hard thing to navigate. Thank you, Fred. I appreciate the call. Let's go to D, calling us from Long Beach. Hi, D.
Hey, Dominique. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm focusing on what I want, not what I don't want, but I'm also trying to make sure we know the objective conditions in which we currently exist, so that we can be mindful.
Okay.
Why do you sound so quiet? Something wrong with your phone? Or are you sad?
So.
That sounds better now. Oh, yeah. Oh, well, you better. That sounds better. I guess if you got that Obama phone, you got to talk into it.
Okay. You know, I have a theory that black people peaked in 1979. I'll tell you why.
Really? Okay.
You had Patricia Roberts Harris at the Department of Health, Education, and Welfare. She was the first black cabinet member, and they rebranded to the Department of Education and Department of Health and Human Services. Welfare was 1% of the budget, by the way. You had Max Robinson reporting live from Chicago, and as Nikki Giovanni said, Gamble and Huff were neither a gamble nor a huff. What took us out was inflation, post-industrialization, and the service economy, as well as HIV. You had a confluence of the sexual revolution, drug culture, and moral agnosticism. Now, I want to tell people why I am a Republican. I think Medicare for all is the height of fiscal responsibility. I think full employment should be the goal, and I think education should be relevant and self-affirming.
Yeah, I mean, I don't agree with anything you said, except for that we peaked in 1979. You leave out a lot. We have been under a different kind of attack every decade, which requires a different kind of response and recovery, whether, as you point out, HIV/AIDS, crack cocaine, the psyops that we're under now, on and on it goes. I think, we have had greatness in every decade, including now. But I don't know about peaking in 1979. But other than that, I'll take your points. I think that when we give up and say we were better then, or we suck now, or we've been destroyed, this is one of the things I used to battle when I hosted the Front Page. I used to battle with Dr. Claude Anderson about, because this idea that black people are irrelevant, or that we peaked some time ago, or that we will be obsolete or extinct, I just don't buy that. I'm in camp Still I Rise. Mm-hmm. We adjust, we overcome, we reinvent. I mean, just the fact that we are still so powerful and vibrant, not just surviving, but thriving in many cases under attack. We're changing the culture. We're creating new trends and ways of looking at things, and inventions and hacks and social movements. We're inspired. We continue to inspire the whole doggone world. We, the descendants of kidnapped victims, the targets of the lie of white supremacy, we are great every day. We are beautiful. We are ingenious every day. I mean, remember 2020 when the whole world was marching? What inspired that? Black Americans in our response to our trauma, oppression, and attempted extermination. I'm sorry, I can't agree with you that we peaked in 1979. I'm definitely Team Still I Rise, and I continue to be inspired by the genius as it manifests in our young people who won't take no for an answer, who make a way out of no way, who create new trends and new ways of looking at things, who are so unapologetic in their resistance. It is a terrible, tough time. But we are still coming. Can you imagine?
Is it true that Generation Z are Luddites? They have a dim view of technology.
Well, not the one I gave birth to. I don't know about the rest of them. I mean, the one I gave birth to, maybe that's Alpha. I don't know as much about Generation A, but Generation Z, the ones I know they're tech natives. You know, that they were raised with it. They never didn't have it, right?
Right.
But you know,
look at it, Dominique. When the economy opened up to trade, it destroyed unions. I remember the International Ladies Garment Workers Union. They had that commercial where they sang the song. I think globalization, it has its benefits, but it also has its costs, and it creates unemployment.
Yeah,
stateside.
But it doesn't have to. Thank you, by the way, Dee, for calling. It doesn't have to. That's predatory capitalism. And we don't have to agree to that. It doesn't have to be that way. That's why I was a Bernie Sanders voter, an Elizabeth Warren voter. We got to reimagine and radically change if we're going to keep this system in place. It can't be a zero-sum game. It can't be infinite growth and infinite profit. And that's clearly the philosophy of Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, Donald Trump. It is the ultimate form of predatory capitalism. D called 800-920-1580. I invite you to do the same. I'm Dominique DiPrima, and this is KBLA Talk 1580.
The station you turn to when you've had it up to gear with cultural incompetence. KBLA Talk 1580.
For all of us, this generation and the next, there is simply no place in our lives for litter. And yet, it's everywhere we look, and unfortunately, it does belong to all of us. So let's come together and create a litter-free, clean California once and for all. Remember to properly dispose of your trash and recycling. Secure truckloads with tarps to keep debris from flying out. Clean out your car when you're at the gas station. Take pride in your community by organizing a cleanup event or join a cleanup event near you. Zero litter is the goal. Join us at cleanca.com. That's cleanca.com. Let's do it together. Brought to you by Caltrans. cleanca.com.
Who cares about the black community in Altadena? We do. On Saturday, March 8th at 10 a.m., it's the premiere of Conversation Live, Altadena Rising with James Farr. This new weekly show will explore the deep roots and resilience of Altadena's black community as we track its recovery and reimagine its future. From relief efforts to rebuilding, we're raising up voices, stories, and solutions to build back Black Altadena better and stronger than ever. It's Conversation Live, Altadena Rising with James Farr, every Saturday at 10 a.m. beginning Saturday, March 8th, with an encore presentation, Sundays at noon.
James Farr, the man who is the voice for Black Los Angeles.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. If you need help getting your resume in order, finding job training, or landing a job, we've got 3 great options for you. First, the City of Los Angeles has WorkSource centers across the area offering free job support. The California Workforce Development Board can help you with everything from GED prep to vocational training at no cost to you. On the federal level, the Department of Labor's American Job Centers offer a full range of services for job seekers and businesses alike. Visit careeronestop.org, or for more info, just call California's Help Center or visit cwdb.ca.gov or call 916-657-1440. For the City of Los Angeles programs, go to ewdd.lacity.gov or call 213-744-7300. All these services are free to help you get your next job. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Oh, could this vintage store be any cuter?
Right? And the best part? They accept Discover.
Accept Discover? In a little place like this? I don't think so, Jennifer.
Oh, yeah, huh? Discover's accepted where I like to shop. Come on, baby, get with the times.
Right, so we shouldn't get the parachute pants?
These are making a comeback. I think.
Discover is accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide. Based on the February 2024 Nielsen report.
I can't believe how spotless my floors look after using the Swiffer Power Mop. No more dragging around a heavy mop and messy bucket. Now I get the same deep clean without all the work. Thanks to the powerful solution and scrubbing pad of the Swiffer Power Mop, dirt and grime don't stand a chance, and I don't break a sweat. Mic drop. Mop drop.
Swiffer Power Mop. Swiffer Power Mop.
A smarter way to mop. Try it or your money back.
Find a righteous rage and don't be afraid to say what you see. We're KBLA Talk 1580.
And by the way, don't forget, you can still weigh in with your city council member. You can still call, go to lacity.org. Their offices are all listed there. You can call, you can email, and let them know you do not want them to vote to reinstate the fire chief. If you don't, I mean, I don't know how you can expect any person, let alone a black woman, to lead if you're going to allow folks to just be insubordinate and go on television and talk smack about them. I don't know. No one. That's not a leadership model. I love the book Basic Brown by Willie Brown. If you haven't read it, it's a quick read. And he talks about what it takes to maintain power in political circles. Of course, he did it better than most anyone. He was Speaker of the California legislature for I don't know how long. It was for a really long time, okay? Couldn't even do it now because we have term limits. But he talks about how you have to keep things structured. And as a black person, and he's not even a woman, as a black person, what it means to wield that kind of power and how the levers function. And yeah. So if you feel like it, it would be a great morning, since today is that vote in the city council, to remind your council person that you don't think that's a good idea. There's some great comments in this YouTube chat. Kwamel Ali says, yeah, Allah says, crack wiped a lot of us out too. That's true. Morris says, does your caller remember when Nixon went to China? Not sure. And Jerry Nick Anderson says, imagine being constantly reminded of how inferior they are by how we constantly overcome it all. It would drive me mad too. Yeah, that's true. That's kind of my point. I mean, you do everything you can to exterminate us, and we're still innovating, growing, thriving, leading. And not only that, when you harm others, it also harms you spiritually, psychically, morally. Let's go to Willie calling us from Palmdale. Good morning, Willie.
Good morning, Dominique. Good morning, KBLA family. Dominique, I was reading a little pamphlet about Project 2025, and it's talking about that they don't want the appointees in the government, in civil job. They want people that's consecutive conservative values.
Yeah.
People who's loyal to conservative values.
Well, really, they say that, but what they mean is loyal to Trump. That's what they mean. And that's why it's a dictatorship. If by meritocracy they mean you have to swear allegiance to a madman, who's probably not mad, he's just, I should revise that. You have to swear allegiance to a greed-addled, unscrupulous person. That's what it is. And the thing about Project 2025 is they did their homework. They got these folks ready. They're ready. That's why they're moving so fast and breaking things, because they had a playbook, and we knew they had that playbook.
Conservative values. What are they? Is that like a religious group or something? Conservative values.
That's funny. Well, that's code for you pledge allegiance to Trump. Traditionally, it means people who follow what we think of as Republican values, what they used to think of as Republican values. Being pro-family, whatever that means. It means pro-white nuclear family. It means, being against a woman's right to choose. It means, usually it means the traditional Republican issues. But in the context of Project 2025, it means blind loyalty to the president and the expansion and power of the executive branch. Right up against the clock here, Willie. We've got news, traffic, and sports, and then more. I'll be joined by Dr. Melina Abdullah, but you are invited to keep calling in. You know where you're at. Unapologetically Black, unapologetically progressive, KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with 4 Things You Should Know with BIN News. A group of black lawmakers criticized Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin for commuting the 3-year sentence of former police officer Wesley Shiflett, who was convicted of reckless handling of a firearm in the 2023 death of an unarmed shoplifter. The Virginia Legislative Black Caucus called the action reckless and a misuse of power. A Florida woman is recovering after she was bitten by an alligator. The Florida Fish and Wildlife Commission says it happened Monday in a canal in Polk County. New York City Mayor Eric Adams criticized former Governor Andrew Cuomo, who announced his mayoral run by highlighting February's crime decline and mocking Cuomo's crisis claims. Adams, who is black, said he'll address Cuomo's record on the campaign trail. And Hulu blamed technical issues for the subscribers missing the end of Sunday's Academy Awards, including the Best Actress and Best Picture announcements. Upset viewers shared screenshots of a message saying the live event had ended. Get BIN News on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.